Alright guys, hope you're all doing well. Welcome to this community showdown. It's going to be the Vampire Counts led by Michu facing off against the Empire and Danikentrop here on the Haunted Vale, and certainly one of my favorite matchups in the game. It's just so classic, right? And it's the coolest part about the Empire campaign. You know, marshaling the Empire, marching east, battling the Vampire Counts, very, very thematic. So, taking a look at the Sons of Sigmar, Vanguard is going to be Free Company Militia, which is not a bad idea. It gives you quick pressure on the objectives, and they do pretty decent damage against the Vampire Count light armor. With their pistols, you can shoot at Cryptors, Corpse Guards, Zombies, Skeletons, and it adds up, and they themselves are good enough to fight chaff units. I've always been a fan of Free Company Militia in this matchup. Now, the rest of the build is going to be Spearmen and 3 Greatswords, super Chadley build, and Greatswords actually are not terrible against Vampire Counts. It's a bit of a rock, paper, scissors. If they can just grind through the chaff units, and even Graveguard they can cut through pretty well, it'll be awesome. But if they get Cryptors on top of them, you're going to have a very bad time. So you kind of balance that out by bringing in Huntsmen and shooting to shut down the Cryptors, and then your Greatswords can win the ground-based fight. So going to be 3 of those with a Empire Captain, so just going to be very cheap on the ground, and a Gold Wizard with Final Transmutation, and Chadmar the Grim. The Mustache Wagon is here. Oh man, look at this thing. So he's got Banishment, Shield of Faith, and Grand Soulfire. So yeah, Volkmar has been used historically in this matchup. He's a little bit risky if your opponent goes with like a big combat vampire or some sort of a combat lord, because he gets bullied really bad by like Terrorgeists and zombie dragons and things like that. But if they don't do that, if they go with like Heinrich Kemmler, for example, totally viable choice. So that's going to be it for the Imperial Army. And for Count Chocula and Michu here, he's going to be using the dreaded pencil formation. So zombies, 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 and zombies. Skeleton, Spearman, double Corpse Guard, staying in range and buffing all these bad boys up, and White Kings. So it doesn't get much more meta than this. The White Kings with Scab's Graith, incredibly good against the Empire. It does a ton of damage against lightly armored infantry and basically just can nullify the light infantry that they engage. It's brutal. Heinrich Kemmler on the outside, and he's going to be rocking Invo and Raised Dead, the classics. Stearnsman on the outside, Dire Pack, and Schmeagles going to be on their way in. Alright guys, so the battle is on, and we do see some Chadley Empire Knights on their way in. And the Volkswagen, I mean, yes, he can run over the White Kings. He has a fair amount of HP, passive regeneration, but he does have low melee defense, so they can still boink him if he gets caught. And he does not want to be getting surrounded by Cryptors also. Certainly a bad time for him. So the line's going to be collapsing here, and that's got to be Cryptors, seeing all the Greatswords there. And we do see Volkmar actually punch one of the White Kings there. And the other one's taking a little bit of damage. I mean, you know who needs a raise on this thing? The frickin' horses. I mean, Volkmar just stands up there yelling and whatnot, but the horses are the ones doing the heavy lifting. I mean, look at those guys plowing into the undead there. Soulfire Bombardment going to be very nice, blobbed up undead around him, so that's going to be some big damage there. As the Skeletons do lose a fair amount of HP, and a Banishment going to be activated as well. As the lines do clash, the Sons of Sigmar holding back the Tides of the Dead. Very disciplined ranks here. You love to see it. It's kind of how they were supposed to be played in tabletop, but the regiment rules are really, really haggard in my experience. Free Company Militia being used as a shooting piece, and really, really nice tech against the Cryptors. And look how stupid Scab's Graith is. Oh my god, that did so much damage against those Free Company. I think that was 2 of them though, to be fair, but even still, that is insanely good. Volkmar grinding with Grand Shield of Faith, while the Vampire Count's going to be calling in a Legion of the Dead, so Direwolves as well as Fellbats, and the Empire Knights at the ready. Huntsmen are called in to shoot at the Cryptors, and the Free Company Militia are a pretty good kind of tertiary shooting unit. I do like that a lot. Empire Knights able to clip the Direwolves here, do some respectable damage, and drag them into combat, while we do see the Free Company Militia and the Huntsmen really putting a hurt on these Cryptors. And without the Cryptors, the Vampires will suffer. Now, big Final Transmutation going down here. It hits a White King, both White Kings. It hits Cryptors, Skeleton Spearmen, a Corpse Guard, and another Skeleton Spearman unit. I mean, that's about as good as it gets. Very, very good. Hitting most of the value pieces. Now, Vampire Counts still trying to penetrate into the backfield. We do see the Fellbats getting on top of the Free Company. Not a bad idea. And the other Doggo unit trying to shut down the Huntsman, but the Empire player, Daniken, of course, one of the World Champ level players, does have his Empire Knights lurking. Overall value trading is favoring Danikentrop, but with Vampire Counts, they have all sorts of passive sources of healing. This is good for Michu to run away with the Cryptors, try and salvage them if you can. They have a lot of regeneration, but I think they're too low and probably will crumble into the abyss. An Invocation maybe could salvage that. The Undead are grinding relatively well. Greatswords are now being sent in from reserve. So here comes the Floppy Hats of Doom, and Michu probably wants to run here. I mean, Stearnsmen are so good, they could probably beat a Greatsword unit. They do cost quite a bit more, like 200-300 gold more, something like that, and they are a fancy ROR. But they'll still take a lot of losses against a Greatsword unit. Not something that they want to be doing. Back here, we do see the Volkswagen battling 2 White Kings. And yeah, I mean, White Kings are just insanely good. They have really high stats, and they're actually defeating Volkmar in combat. And Heinrich Kemmler's there helping as well, and it looks like a Soulfire Bombardment's going to be activated here from Daniken. Not really going to do much against the SEs. So, On the flank, Huntsman units get nibbled on, but the Empire Knights do manage to clean them up. Another Direwolf. Michu very sneaky here. So he's able to get a Direwolf in the back and jump on top of the Free Company Militia. And man, another nice zombie summon. Man, really clean Vampire count play as well. Nice back and forth game between these guys. So Banishment going to be activated here. Probably should have been used on the Sternsman, although considering your Greatswords were there, maybe you didn't want to friendly fire it. The Banishment does go off. Tickles those guys a little bit. And the Volkswagen, this is what happens every time I bring the Volkswagen to this matchup. I'm like, yeah, he's going to kill the White Kings, and then he just dies. So you're like, oh, I'm too weak. So he's fleeing. I mean, maybe if he had AP, I think he really struggles to get through the high armor of those guys. Greatswords fighting at the front, Spearmen fighting. Greatswords here trading very well, and a healthy Greatsword on the other side. Certainly going to be problematic. However, Michu is going to be calling in a counter to Greatswords, which is going to be Cairn Wraiths. Cairn Wraiths have 100% AP value, so they're 44 damage. All of it goes through armor because they're ghosts, and that makes them a bit of a soft counter against Greatswords as well as the Empire Heavy Cavalry. Volkmar is a counter against them, though, with his magic damage attacks and Soulfire Bombardment. So if Volkmar can avoid those White Kings and get on top of the Cairn Wraiths, that would be really, really huge. Objective situation. Vampires have Objective 3 and Objective 2, but the Empire is fighting pretty hard here, and between the Final Transmutations and the Banishments and some of the AoE, it's been very, very effective. White King's a little bit low, jumping on top of the Free Company here, and to the back we do see Sigmar Sons coming up. Sigmar Sons are very good in this matchup. They give you a nice backbone, but you just got to make sure that, you know, you bring them in mid-game so they don't get scab scraped, basically. Feels very, very bad for those guys. So Schmiegel's getting bashed by the big boys here, and we do see more Empire Heavy Cav coming in to try and run down the backfield elements that are harassing them, like these Fellbats and these Schmiegels here. And a big resurgence in the Vampire counts right here. We do see the Cryptors coming in, and yeah, a Sternsman as well. Rear charge coming in from Daniken, so it looks like he looped around the other side. Got a nice little charge there, but the Cairn Wraiths are coming extra spooky with the Cryptors, and potentially going to be triple capping Daniken here. And also, grenade launchers, amazing in this matchup, but a little bit tricky to protect at times when these Fellbats start paying attention here. And they notice the Outriders. It's going to make this a much harder situation for Daniken. But Daniken is protecting already. He's got Empire Cav there to screen them out, so this man knows what he's doing. He is holding it down. Back here in the blob fight, the Chad Swords of Sigmar are doing quite well, cutting through zombies and all sorts of chaff units. We even have an Empire Captain in here with the Encourage ability, and he's, you know, providing some extra DPS. I really like this color scheme. I think if I were to repaint my Empire army, which I'm not going to because I spent so long painting it, I probably would do the black and yellow. I think it just looks amazing and has a very, very unique look. You don't see it super, super often. So, Chad Swords cutting it up here, and the Volkswagen is a passive healing character, so he's certainly bringing it back a little bit as Daniken is chopping through a lot of the front lines. He's also been able to keep his guns online here, so we see Free Company Militia shooting happily at the Cryptors, wearing them down, but Daniken is triple capped right now. And this is, like, in my experience, I played this matchup like 5,000 times. This is... You're usually going to get triple capped as the Empire. Sometimes you, on the right map with a home objective, you can hold it, but you're usually going to get triple capped, but you end up outvaluing the Vampire counts, who have to overextend themselves to get the triple cap. It's just the meta of this matchup. Sometimes Vampire counts can just dumpster you, of course, and one thing that Michu is missing that I think would be incredibly good is Vargeists. Vargeists are really brutal against the Empire. They annihilate Greatswords, they annihilate all their cavalry units, and honestly, the Empire doesn't really have good counters for them outside of just, like, attrition. So that is, I think, one of the weak links of Michu's build so far, not having a couple of those. They're like flying Cryptors, basically, and yeah, incredibly good. And Empire fighting tooth and nail here might be able to flip the objective eventually. The Volkswagen, we did see another Final Transmutation going down, but he's helping the boys grind here. Greatswords fighting Cryptors, not great for them, but there are some Empire Heavy Cavalry there. In the backfield, a little bit of diving going down, as we do see Fellbats and White Kings and all sorts of spooky creatures of the night causing a lot of mischief. And those grenade launchers are potentially going to be shut offline here, which is rough because they're an expensive unit. I believe they cost just over 800 gold, so that is no small feat. Especially when you get them with the Fellbat. Fellbats are very, very cheap, comparatively speaking. Two Free Company Militia going to be forming ranks, and one-to-one, a Crypt Ghoul will beat a Free Company Militia, but if one of them basically shoots the Crypt Ghoul in the back while it's fighting the other one, it could be good for them. So they should be unleashing their pistol fires unless Daniken has them holding fire. Middle objective going to the Empire, and this is where we start to see, you know, the Cryptors are not as numerous as they once were, and that's allowing the Greatswords and the Empire Captains to really, really hold it down here and chop through the undead. Super cool looking fight, man. This game looks great. Despite its haggard flaws, it looks pretty great. All right, Swordsmen and Free Company Militia are advancing up, and in the backfield, a bit of a disaster for the Empire. They lose their Free Company, their grenade launchers. Grenade launchers may rally. They are on the edge of the map. If they run off, that's pretty unfortunate. 28 grenade launchers is still very, very good. And it looks like they are going to be hustling off the edge of the map. So that is certainly a big loss for Daniken and a big win for Michu here. But Daniken is pulling the value lead, and he does have healing of his own on Volkmar. So, you know, that value lead may start to become more accurate here. On the outside, Free Company Militia going to be surging forth as Empire Knights just screening out what they can, trying to stabilize the backfield, and the Empire is able to get objective 2. So the Greatswords, the Empire Captain, and the remnants of the Sigmar Sons move up, and we do see the Vampire Counts kind of in a bit of a precarious position because, yes, Michu is ahead on points, but is it by that much? Is it going to be enough to carry him into the sunset? So State Trooper Mantide is being called out. The Crypt Ghoul is able to dominate those Free Company in combat, which makes sense. Just a bunch of peasants with floppy hats, or I guess militia, not necessarily. It's a different culture than Bretonnia, but the Volkswagen being hunted pretty hard. The Cryptors are all over him, which is smart. If the Volkswagen goes down, that's a huge win for the Vampire Counts. Empire is a faction that has like a bit of a... I mean, you do have low base leadership on your State Troopers. It's 60, which is like the same as an Orc Boy. Orc Boys are at 60 as well. But like your cavalry and some of your other units have higher leadership than the Greenskin equivalents, but it still hurts really bad to lose your Lord as the Empire. I would say they're in that category of factions that suffer really, really bad when they lose their Lord. Not as bad as like Skaven, you know, stuff like that, but it hurts. It hurts, man. So Free Company arrive on the point, and it looks like the Direwolves do get screened out, and that is going to be the Empire flipping objective 1. But in the meantime, the Vampire Counts are resurgent in the middle, able to get the Corpse Guard, the Cryptors, Heinrich Kemmler, and the White Kings back on that point to really, really hold it down. And that's one of the hardest things, honestly. Getting rid of those damn White Kings takes a disproportionate amount of effort, because obviously we know in Total War there's a lot of jank with like hitting ground-based characters in general. You could have like Karl Franz or Boris beating on one for like 5 minutes, and they still just like can't kill them. They're such a pain in the ass. But State Troopers on their way in, and the Volkswagen going to be trying to change the paradigm of this objective fight. And it's going to be big for the Empire to try and get a double cap before they have to get into a triple cap situation. Because against Vampire Counts, it's tough. And we do see the Vampire Counts still pressing all 3 objectives. I mean, this White King here, these Graveguard, excuse me, going to be really hard to deal with. They'll certainly chew through a lot of these State Troopers. And even though there are slow attacking halberds with low melee attack, I mean, they're fighting pretty low quality troopers here. And with the White King there, I don't know if he has any Scab's Grace, but that's also potentially going to be problematic. So we do see Michu creeping up on points a little bit, sitting there as the Chad Swords keep going, and Volkmar the Grim sitting at 1400 value. And Daniken going to be learning the lesson that many of Sigbrites have learned, is that Volkmar is not that good in this matchup, I don't think. I mean, he's all right, but man, like a Boris or like anyone really, like Balthazar Gelt with Final Transmutation is having a wider army. I'm always so disappointed by Volkmar. He should be so good in this matchup, you know? I mean, I guess he causes a bit of disruption. The Banishment and the Soulfires are good. And I don't know. We'll see. I don't think he's going to get away, though. I think he's going to be hunted here by something, if not by Heinrich Kemmler himself. The Huntsmen ambushing out of the woods. Very good flavor here from the Empire. And they're going to be posturing up and sniping the Corpse Guard, which is a brilliant idea. Zombies immediately heed the call of the Necromancer and are going to be marching forth to deal with them. Probably going to have to call in a heavy cav here to deal with that zombie push. And just hope that the Imperials are going to be able to get it in the middle, which I don't know if they will. The Gold Wizard is karate chopped. The Volkswagen is in trouble as well, and it does look like the Children of the Night are going to be taking over this game as more Greatswords come out on the other side. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if I see any ways back. I mean, he's super far behind on points. We have a Graveguard unit here that's relatively healthy, and yeah, just looking very precarious. As Volkmar the Grim was defeated by Heinrich Kemmler, the Gold Wizard was also routed and is shattered, running for their life here. And the State Troopers holding, but that is probably going to be it. The capture weight here coming for the Vampire Counts. This objective is going to be in the process of flipping, and it looks like old Michu here is going to be securing it as the Dire Pack does make their way back in. GG well played. A really, really good game. A game that was, I think, back and forth. I mean, the Vampire Counts were comfortably in control of the objectives for a lot of the game, but they were falling behind on value. The Greatswords were getting momentum. The objectives were flipping, but that's just the thing with Volkmar. He's really just can't, he's not good enough to deal with the White Kings. He gets bullied. Whereas, like, if you have Blood Roar Boris Todbringer up in the sky, he can bully the White Kings actually quite hard. I mean, I joked about him not being able to kill them quickly, but he will win. And he also has the leadership debuffing, which against the undead might not seem relevant, but it is, because it gets them to crumble faster. But yeah, the rest of the build from Daniken was fine. The Great Swords with the Free Company was a really, really cool combo. And yeah, the Empire Heavy Cav was good. Grenade launchers, demis. I mean, it's a pretty solid build, aside from Volkmar, in my opinion. Yeah, GG well played, guys. Hope you enjoyed that from Michu. We did see Heinrich Kemmler cackling. Good value on both White Kings. 1,700 on that one. Jeez Louise. And, okay, he did have some Vargeists. Yeah, I was going to say, man, those would have really broken the back of these Greatswords much earlier. But he did have them, so they were in reserve. So well played there. All right, guys, catch you around. GG, well to the played, and we will see you guys on the other side.